This is Roger Struckoff with Syscon TV, and we are at day 2 of Cloud Expo in Santa Clara in the year 2015. Believe it or not, it's very scary. And I'm sitting here right now with Prasanna Mogankar with Cloudraxak. Now that is spelled R-A-X-A-K, Cloudraxak, and I believe that has something to do with protection. So let's find out. Prasanna, thank you for joining us. Tell us about your company, the name, and what you do.
So Cloudraxak, you're absolutely right. The word Rakshak is from Sanskrit. It means guardian.
Guardian.
So we think of ourselves as wanting to be the guardians of the cloud. So one of the things that you might have noticed, obviously, Cloud Expo, interest in the cloud is rising, right? And everybody understands the cost effectiveness of the cloud, the DevOps model, and the flexibilities you get. But one of the things that is very, very critical is to make sure that what you do in the cloud is secure, which means that whatever assets you're creating, compute assets, for example, that you configure them correctly. And what is not very well known is that even if you go to public clouds like Amazon, SoftLayer, any of the standard offerings, their standard builds that you instantiate to make a cloud asset, a compute asset, is not configured from the get-go to be fully locked down because it's a general purpose asset. That's a shared responsibility you take on with the cloud service provider. So what are the customers of the cloud doing to live up to their end of the bargain, their end of the responsibility, and configure their assets so that they're as secure as they can be? That's our role. We simplify security for them, and we automate it in a way that with the press of a button, they can achieve a configuration that makes sense in their environment.
Well, that's interesting because you talk about a shared responsibility, but if you're sending your data off premises and yet you still have some responsibility, that's scary. And another thing is in the world of cloud, we keep using this word expose, and we want to expose the APIs and by extension the data. That has to make people nervous, and that has to lead to the need for some sort of guardian. It sounds like you're kind of jumping into that role.
Right. So that's a very interesting observation, and it's the flexibility that comes from openness comes with a set of responsibilities that you have to take on, right? And what our vision is, where we want the community to be 5 years from now, is that it should be impossible for anybody to create an asset in the cloud that is not intrinsically or from the get-go locked down or secure in a way they want, right? So if we can get the community to a point where we make it so simple and so easy to specify what security you want or you need for your operation, then we've solved the issue at the root.
But you're addressing the current needs of several. Cloud computing now has taken over maybe 20% of enterprise IT, maybe a little bit less, but it's a significant number. There's a significant amount of information, but yet there's a whole 80% remaining, plus data growth that's doubling every 3 years. So it sounds like your challenge is a very large, formidable sort of challenge.
It is, and I think security and configuration of security is one of those barriers that has actually slowed down the movement to the cloud because people are taking a cautious approach. But if tools existed that allowed them to use the cloud with the assurance that they're doing it right, probably a lot more people would move to the cloud, and that 20% number that you quoted will probably grow very, very fast because the cost benefits are clear and everybody understands them.
But okay, so let's say I'm a new customer, I'm a little skeptical. How do you give me that security blanket and make me feel good so I can make sure that my boss is happy and that my customers are happy and there's not going to be any breaches and there's not going to be any leakage? How are you going to make me feel good about that?
So I think expecting that there will never be breaches is too strong a barrier. There will always be issues that crop up later. What we do is to give you tools that are applied at the point of creation of the asset. And at that point of creation, if you get your assets under control and then continuously manage them through the life cycle in an automated manner, you've solved a very critical problem.
So now, sometimes I'm a little slow. You have to tell me 2 or 3 times. So at the point of creation, so from the get-go, intrinsic, how do you get people to really understand this is not an add-on, this is not something that comes later, this is from the very beginning?
So when you create a cloud compute asset, let's say you go to Amazon or go to SoftLayer, the standard 4 or 5 questions that you answer, how many CPUs you want, how much memory you want, which data center do you want it in, what's your account number, right? Think of a 5th question, which is, what security profile do you want, right? And today, nobody asks that question. Tomorrow,
Again, it's intrinsic, not an add-on.
it's not an add-on. It becomes one of the standard questions. It's like, do you want fries with that? Right? It should be so automatic and so natural for you to answer that question that you never get to a mode where you have an unprotected asset.
No, it's more like, that comes with fries.
Even better, even better, right?
How do people find you online, and why? So I understand what you're saying, but exactly, let's tell everyone your website, URL, and exactly why they should come and talk to you or anyone on your staff.
Right, so www.cloudraxak.com, Cloudraxak. Don't forget the X in it, right? And we are also giving away free trials of the software. So the best way to figure out what we can do for you, come out and give it a try.
Cloudraxak, they have a free trial. You can't beat that. Now, you're going to be watching this maybe in really close proximity to the show, or maybe many months later. So you need to go now for the free trial. Prasanna, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you for watching. For Syscon TV, this is Roger Struckoff.